Good evening, it's Tuesday the 23rd of December and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Bondi attack. Australia to agree upon tougher gun laws following the tragic Bondi attack that left dozens traumatized. Deadly bomb. Head of the Russian General Staff's training department was killed due to a car bomb explosion. Christmas surprise. Holiday Christmas tradition at hospital brightens spirits of little children as the true essence of the season is displayed.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Sifmi Adhikari.
Good evening and thank you once again for joining us on World News Tonight on Derana News Channel. Australia's New South Wales is set to pass stricter gun laws, ban terrorist symbols and curb protest after the Bondi Beach mass shooting that killed 15 and injured dozens.
Australia's New South Wales is about to pass stricter gun laws as authorities stepped up their response to the anti-Semitic attack. The new law will also ban showing terrorist symbols in public and curb protests. This comes after a mass shooting at a Bondi Beach Hanukkah event that killed 15 and injured dozens. The bill is expected to pass the New South Wales Parliament's upper house on Tuesday. Chris Minns is Australia's New South Wales Premier.
We've got one step to go, but it will be a clear message and clear progress to keep the people of New South Wales safe, whether that's on gun regulation in New South Wales or secondly, on protests in order, changes to protests in order to lower the temperature in Sydney, and a bit of acknowledgement that in some cases words lead to actions.
Activist groups said they plan to launch a constitutional challenge to the law. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said his government would address hate speech and gun control. The centre-left Labour government wants to limit most people to 4 firearms per license. Farmers can own as many as 10. Australia made gun laws much tougher after a 1996 shooting that killed 35 people, but gun ownership has grown since then. A police firearms registry showed more than 70 people in New South Wales each own over 100 guns.
Amid peace talks to end the war in Ukraine, Lieutenant General Fanil Saravov, head of Russian General Staff's training department, was killed when the bomb, which had been placed under his parked car and detonated in a residential quarter of southern Moscow.
Investigators in Moscow examined the scene of a car bombing that killed one of Russia's top generals. Fanil Savarov had only just started to pull out of a parking lot on Monday morning when a bomb planted under the vehicle detonated, blowing the doors off. Residents of the neighbourhood are in shock. Savarov died in hospital as a result of his injuries. Russia's investigative committee says it's opened an investigation into murder and Ukraine's possible involvement.
Investigators are pursuing numerous lines of inquiry, including that the crime may have been orchestrated by Ukrainian intelligence services.
Ukraine has not commented on the attack. Lieutenant General Fanil Savarov headed the operational training department of the Russian military. According to Russian media, he took part in the war in Chechnya in the 1990s and Russia's intervention in Syria. On a Ukrainian website that documents Russia's alleged war crimes, Savarov is said to have been involved in planning training scenarios ahead of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine and in coordinating groups that carried out strikes on civilian infrastructure. He's the third senior Russian official to be targeted in a year. Back in April, General Yaroslav Moskilik was killed in a similar car bomb attack, while General Igor Kirillov was killed in December 2024 when a device hidden in an electric scooter was detonated remotely. Ukrainian intelligence services claimed responsibility for that assassination.
Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jian said China will continue working actively for peace and playing a constructive role in easing tensions between Cambodia and Thailand.
Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian said the remarks were made in response to a media inquiry on the Cambodia-Thailand border situation and the shuttle diplomacy being carried out by Deng Xijun, the Foreign Ministry's Special Envoy for Asian Affairs, who is currently visiting Cambodia and Thailand. Lin noted that both Cambodia and Thailand are important members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and said China commends and supports Asians' efforts, particularly those led by Malaysia, to promote peace. He added that China, as a close neighbor and friend of both countries, hopes hostilities will cease as soon as possible and that peace will be restored in the broader interest of border stability and the well-being of the people in both nations. The spokesperson said that since the latest escalation, China has been actively engaging with both sides to promote peace through multiple diplomatic channels. He said Foreign Minister Wang Yi has held phone conversations with his Cambodian and Thai counterparts, while senior Chinese foreign ministry officials have remained in close contact with authorities in both countries as well as relevant ASEAN members. Lin also confirmed that Special Envoy Deng Xijun is undertaking shuttle diplomacy aimed at facilitating dialogue between Cambodia and Thailand, adding that further details of the mission will be released in due course. He reiterated that China will continue to play an active and constructive role in promoting de-escalation and supporting peace efforts in the region.
Syrian government forces and the Kurdish-led SDF agreed to halt clashes in Aleppo after shelling killed at least 2 civilians and severely wounded several others.
Syrian government forces and the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, agreed to de-escalate in Aleppo on Monday evening after deadly clashes. Syria's health ministry says 2 civilians were killed and several wounded, including 2 children and civil defense workers in shelling blamed on the SDF. Civil defense member Assem Abdul Salam was injured in the clashes.
We headed to the bombing location. We saw 2 little girls injured. I headed with my colleagues to help these 2 girls and took them with us in our car. We were shot by a sniper of the Syrian Democratic Forces, which hit us directly. I was injured in my neck, and my colleague next to me was injured with many fragments in his back.
State news agency SANA reported the army ordered troops to stop targeting SDF positions, while the SDF said it would halt retaliatory fire after de-escalation talks. The violence erupted hours after Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan warned in Damascus that the SDF had failed to meet a year-end deadline to join Syria's army, a deal seen as key to ending 14 years of war. Turkey, which views the US-backed SDF as terrorists, has threatened military action if the group does not comply.
Growing tensions among the public as the Department of Justice fails to abide by legal time to release all the Epstein files, raising concern about transparency and trust.
Tonight, growing backlash after the Department of Justice missed the legal deadline to release all of its Jeffrey Epstein files. Members of Congress from both sides of the aisle now threatening legal action. The 2 congressmen behind the new law forcing the release of the files, pressing for a House vote to hold Attorney General Pam Bondi in contempt.
They're flouting the spirit and the letter of the law. It's very troubling, the posture that they've taken.
By law, the DOJ had until last Friday to release all of its Epstein-related records. But sources tell Abe what the department published was just a fraction of its Epstein files, and reams of released records are heavily redacted, entire pages blacked out. In a statement, more than a dozen Epstein survivors, including Danny Bensky, writing, "We are told there are hundreds of thousands of pages of documents still unreleased. These are clear-cut violations of an unambiguous law."
We have pages and pages of grand jury testimony that are completely black, and then there have been survivor names that have been released. And so it just feels absolutely intentionally careless at this point.
Among the thousands of records already released, photos of former President Bill Clinton and Epstein. No Epstein survivor has ever accused Clinton of wrongdoing. And tonight, a Clinton spokesperson challenging the DOJ to immediately release any remaining materials referring to, mentioning, or containing a photograph of Bill Clinton. Refusing to do so will confirm the widespread suspicion the Department of Justice's actions to date are not about transparency, but about insinuation. Tonight, in his first remarks since the files started to be released, President Trump asked about the photos made public so far.
A lot of people are very angry that pictures are being released of other people that really had nothing to do with Epstein, but they're in a picture with him because he was at a party, and you ruin the reputation of somebody. So a lot of people are very angry that this continues.
Let's go in for a short commercial break. More world news coming right after this. Welcome back. 74-year-old Chris Rea, the singer behind the Mammoth festive hit Driving Home for Christmas, has been announced dead. Amid the grief, a family informs the public about his peaceful passing following a short illness.
A festive favourite, tonight a tribute.
I'm driving home for Christmas.
The man behind the holiday tune passing away just days before Christmas. Chris Rea was born in Middlesbrough in England in 1951. One of 7 siblings, he didn't buy his first guitar until he was 21. But in the years that followed, found fame with hits Full If You Think It's Over and The Road to Hell. In 1978, he penned Driving Home for Christmas.
My manager had just left me. I'd just been banned from driving. Joan, she had to drive down to London, pick me up in the Mini, and take me home. I wrote it.
The festive hit released 8 years later.
Do you like Christmas, Chris?
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah, I love it.
The singer's career brought to a halt for a while when he was 33, diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Rea later suffered a stroke and had other health issues. His death announced by his family. It is with great sadness that we announce the passing of our beloved Chris, who died peacefully earlier today following a short illness. His last post, a photo of his lyrics on a road sign and the words, "Let's hope the journey's a smooth one." Chris Rea leaves behind his wife of 57 years and 2 daughters. He was 74.
With 1,000 memories.
The launch of the Trump-class battleship is coming against a backdrop of tensions in the Caribbean and the pressure campaign on Venezuela as Trump boasts about the features of the upcoming battleship.
New Golden Fleet, we're calling it the Golden Fleet. Each one of these will be the largest battleship in the history of our country, the largest battleship in the history of the world ever built.
Side by side with the Pentagon chief and the Secretary of the Navy, Donald Trump announcing a new era on the water. 2 ships to begin with, 20 to 25 warships in total. Renderings show an image of the US president with his fist in the air taking centre stage on the vessel, which the US president says will be armed with guns, missiles, hypersonic weapons and laser beams.
You have lasers where you aim the laser at a target, it just wipes it out. We're going to have, there'll be the most sophisticated lasers in the world, and the most sophisticated laser in the world will be on the battleships that we're building.
We'll have a new leg in America's nuclear deterrence because the Trump-class battleship will carry the nuclear-armed sea-launched cruise missile.
The announcement of more warships coming at a time when the US Navy has bolstered its presence and assets in the Caribbean and as tensions soar with Venezuela. Today, the United States in active pursuit of an oil tanker near Venezuela as the Trump administration's crackdown on the country's oil industry ramps up. The vessel had been bound for Venezuela to pick up crude oil. It refused to be boarded by US Coast Guard officers, instead turning around and fleeing. It's now the 3rd time in less than 2 weeks that the Trump administration is going after tankers linked to Venezuela, whose oil industry is its lifeblood. It's now been cut off.
Innospace commercial launch vehicle Hanbit Nano lifted off from Brazil but exploded shortly after liftoff. Less than a minute after liftoff, the rocket fell back to the ground and crashed with a designated safe zone.
South Korean aerospace startup Innospace has marked a major milestone by successfully launching its Hanbit Nano rocket from the Alcântara Space Center in Brazil. The launch was conducted from the spaceport in Brazil's northern Maranhão state, after being postponed for several hours due to unfavorable weather conditions. Once conditions improved, the rocket lifted off smoothly, carrying a multi-satellite payload into space. According to reports, the mission deployed 5 satellites into orbit, a significant achievement for the company and South Korea's growing private space industry. With this launch, Innospace became the first private South Korean company to successfully place a customer satellite into orbit, underlining the country's expanding capabilities in commercial space launches. However, according to reports, an explosion followed after the launch which caused a severe crash on a designated safe zone due to abnormalities.
According to data released by Gaza's health authorities, Israeli attacks have killed 70,937 Palestinians and injured 171,192 others in the Gaza Strip since the conflict between Hamas and Israel erupted.
Since the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire agreement took effect in October, Gaza has reported 405 deaths and 1,115 injuries in the region, according to health authorities in its latest report. 2 more Palestinians were killed by Israeli army fire in the Gaza Strip, raising the death toll to 407. Meanwhile, the Hamas-run media office said in a press statement that Israel has committed 875 ceasefire violations since the truce took effect. The office also accused Israel of failing to deliver even the minimum quantities of aid agreed upon. Only 17,819 trucks have entered Gaza during the 73-day period, compared with 43,000 stipulated under the agreement, an average of 244 trucks per day instead of 600, according to the office. The statement slapped Israel for violating international humanitarian law, saying that Gaza's living conditions are facing unprecedented crises. According to the statement, 15 displaced people and 2 children living in tents have died in Gaza due to Israel's ban on inbound tents, mobile homes and other aid supplies, compounded by a recent cold wave and the collapse of dozens of damaged buildings. It called on international communities, the United Nations, guarantors of the ceasefire agreement, and relevant mediators to shoulder the responsibilities to ensure Israel fulfills its obligations and immediately approves the inbound aid supplies.
A massive sinkhole has developed in canal in the English county of Shropshire, trapping 2 boats in deep mud and prompting emergency services to declare a major incident.
The moment a canal boat in Shropshire is swallowed whole in the dead of night. By daylight, the cause of the catastrophe became clear. A 50 by 50 metre sinkhole sucked up the earth, drained the canal and consumed 2 narrowboats in the process. A third teetering on the edge. The enormous crater forced a major incident to be declared and caused utter chaos for residents who had called the canal their home.
I heard some noise. I actually thought somebody was breaking into the boat. And then I heard a clattering. Paul was fast asleep, couldn't wake him up. I got out of bed and then stumbled as though I was drunk because the boat was actually listing about 45 degrees. It was like a disaster movie, wasn't it? It just, you could hear the volume of the water gushing. It was like the sheer power of it. The panic on people. Our instant thoughts were, are people on the boat? Luckily, they're all on the side. We've made sure everyone was safe.
Residents living on these canal boats woke up in the early hours on unstable ground, battling with rapidly moving waters. Firefighters say they evacuated around a dozen people and thankfully no one was hurt. But some will have been made homeless just a few days before Christmas. It's too early to tell what caused the cavity, but for now the canal is secure. Attention turns to the surrounding area as large volumes of water have been sucked up by neighbouring fields. Boats abandoned. Locals told to stay away as investigators explore what caused the ground to cave in and how a stretch of canal was left without water.
Time for a short break now. We'll be right back with more world news. Welcome back. An annual holiday light display for patients at a children's hospital as hundreds gather outside to wish them good night and spread holiday cheer as these young souls are enlightened and positivity is restored.
In the middle of Detroit, this holiday display isn't just about the music or the cheer. It's about the children. Outside, hundreds of people from the community gazing up with flashlights in hand to simply say good night to the patients at Corewell Health Children's Hospital. And as the lights begin to flicker, these faces light up. The children inside marveling at the holiday lights and decorations as they wave their own beams back.
How's it going? Good? Yeah.
Including 4-year-old Zoe, diagnosed with a neuroblastoma. Her favorite part? The massive fire truck. Its ladder extended higher than her 5th floor room.
That's pretty cool.
How big was the ladder? It was so big.
The Moonbeams for Sweet Dreams program takes place for 2 weeks every December at the hospital. With signs, costumes, and plenty of lights. Brightening the spirits of the patients and their parents.
Just so beautiful. And when it happens to yourself, choked up. When it happens to you, you're like, oh my gosh,
like, I don't know if we deserve this, but it's not about what you deserve. It's about what other people are willing to give, and they're willing to give a lot. And it's really, really beautiful.
Proof the simplest acts can bring a glimmer of light.
Santa Claus is coming.
And spread some much needed.
With Christmas just around the corner, the Grinch is once again making an appearance, where for several years some people have taken to wearing green costumes to play dirty tricks in the streets just to keep the Christmas cheer running.
It's a high-speed chase. Suspect is male, green fur, dressed in a Santa suit. In this Texas town, the Grinch was caught red-handed stealing presents from under the tree. And the children are delighted that this theft is taken very seriously by the local authorities.
We have to save Christmas. He can't be going around stealing all the presents.
And police protocol had to be followed for this smooth criminal. But the famous Christmas villain had a message from his cell.
Hey, Chief Deputy Jernigan. Lucky for you, my shoes weren't tied. You think you got me quick? But fear not, my loyal fans. I'll be out sooner than you think.
Getting out to join all the other Grinches ready to wreak havoc and cause mischief at Christmas. Since the release of the movie starring Jim Carrey, the Grinch character created by Dr. Seuss has been a staple of pop culture, and every year many people post their pranks. But sometimes the Grinch is one of the good guys, like here in Florida, where this Grinch is enforcing traffic laws.
Slow down, but at the same time, we wanted to give you a gift. Well, thank you. In the spirit of Christmas, you know, it's the holidays. We want you to drive safe, want you to slow down.
Last year, it was a Grinch cop operating in Peru who, on a much more serious note, helped with the arrest of a gang of 3 drug traffickers in southern Lima.
And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hopes of seeing you again, I'm Sydney Adhikari, and we leave you tonight with the visuals of London's dazzling Christmas lights brightening the streets. Also, don't forget to send us your feedback through email at feedback.adncenglish@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. Thank you for watching World News Tonight on Derana News Channel. Have a good night.